Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Vaughn with How She Got There, a Next In podcast. And today's guest with us is Louise McEvoy, who is the Vice President of Channel Sales with Trend Micro. Hi, Louise. How are you?
Good, Jamie. Hey, it's nice to be here. I appreciate being asked to be a guest here.
Absolutely. Well, I saw you at Girls in Tech in Nashville,
Mhm.
and people that were with me were blown away by what you had to say, myself included. And I was like, she has to get on our show. We've had a few of you on here that we really, really enjoyed, and I wanted to share it with a broader audience that could hear what you had to say. So we just knew we had to invite you on.
I appreciate it. Nice compliments. And what an incredible event, right? Girls in Tech.
It was. It was so much fun, and what a cool venue she had it in.
She did bowling alley. Cool.
And that's Nashville for you. We'll put a church in a bar or a bowling alley in a bar, just to kind of spice things up a little bit.
It was spicy.
Yeah. So I always start with the very first question of where did you grow up and what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Okay, good question. I don't know if I'm going to be that interesting. I don't know. I grew up in a little town in Quebec, Canada. So it's, I grew up there. I actually immigrated though to Canada. And then I grew up in a little Quebec town. So everyone asks me, do you speak French? And I say, no, je parle Québécois. I speak Québécois because it's much different than French.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
neat. So what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I always wanted to be a teacher.
Really?
Wow. Yes. Yeah, I like teaching. I'm the furthest thing from that now. I'm not a teacher, but yeah, not in schoolroom. That was my goal.
Well, I saw a young lady you were mentoring, so that I believe is a great teaching position.
Thank you. I do enjoy the mentorship. Yeah, I get a lot out of it, probably more than they do. It is really fulfilling, and I highly recommend it to anyone who has the opportunity to mentor someone. It really is.
So I would actually love to hear about your educational journey and how that brought you into technology.
My education had nothing to do with technology. Nothing, not really. Yeah. So I went to, I did in Canada, we go up to grade 11 and then we do 2 years of what's called CEGEP, which is like a community college. And I did take business administration. And then I followed someone who was taking English and law in university. So I took English and law in university because that was the path that this person chose and I wanted to follow this person. So I did. And it had nothing to, the law comes in handy. I do admit I do a lot of contracts in my job. And so having that legalese does help. But yeah, I went to university, Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada. And I got my bachelor's degree there.
Wow. So what did you do after college?
I was going to work full time. I couldn't afford to go to school full time, so I had to work. So I did both. I worked full time and then I went to school after hours. So it took me a while to get my degree because I just couldn't afford to go to school full time. And my mother got me into Bell Canada, and I was the receptionist on the 12th floor in Bell Canada in downtown Ottawa. And that's how my career started. I was working with my mom and I'll always be grateful for her getting me into that industry. It wasn't necessarily high tech; it was really telecom. But I was at Bell Canada for 9 years and progressed through the ranks. I was a receptionist for 6 months, and then went into finance, and then get into operations and a whole lot of other parts of Bell Canada because it's a really large telecommunications company, and kind of grew from there.
So where are you now? How did that career take you from there to this vice president position?
So I met someone in Bell Canada who moved to a cybersecurity company, and he said, "Hey, you should really try this cyber company. It's really interesting." And I was already 9 years at Bell Canada, so I took a leap of faith, and I went to a cybersecurity company. And it was very fulfilling, and they went through an IPO, and it was really exciting. And there was all kinds of things that I had never learned because I was so long in telecom. And it just progressed from there. And he's one of my best friends. I've known him now for all these years later. And through a series of events, I went to Trend Micro, and he's also there. He still lives in Canada, and I moved to the US with another cybersecurity company. And they asked me to move to California for a couple of months, and I've been in California about 20 years now. So my 2-month stint lasted a long time.
So what do you like better, Canada or California?
Between you and me, the weather is much better in California. When you grow up in Ottawa, and then
Mhm,
right now it's pretty cold, lots of snow,
mhm.
California is a pretty sweet place to be.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree.
yeah, I'm about, I don't know, 3 miles from the ocean, so
Mhm.
yeah, and I've got the mountains in my backyard, I can see the mountains, and it's a pretty sweet place.
Yeah, that's what's so neat about California. You can have the beach and the mountains right there together.
You do.
Yeah.
You
I grew up less than a mile from the Gulf of Mexico in Florida, and there are no mountains, so that always blows my mind when I'm out in California that we have both right there together.
We're very fortunate. I do a lot of mountain climbing in my personal time, so the fact that I can get out and, go climbing is something that's really important to me.
Mhm. So you had this mentor. How did he help you along in your career and get you back at Trend Micro or get you at Trend Micro with him? Or
So, I don't
you
know if he was a mentor as much as a friend, and I looked up to him as an older brother. I have a younger
Mhm,
brother, not an older brother, and I trusted him.
mhm.
And I trusted that where he was going was a good place because I know he really vets things out well, and it just made sense. And now we're in 3 companies together. We're still really good friends, and I see him every time I go back to Ottawa. And yeah, it's been a good person in my life.
Oh, that's good. I always think mentors are so important. I always tell the young ladies that I work with, make sure you find a really good mentor and a good sponsor that will help you along with your career.
And definitely 2 different things. Yeah.
They are.
Mhm.
Sometimes they can be the same person, but most
Yeah,
of the time they are 2 different things.
yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what you do at Trend Micro and what Trend Micro does industry-wise.
So Trend Micro is a cybersecurity company, and cyber is a really big, big part of anything that any company does. But even personally, we post pictures to our iCloud account. You want to make sure that that iCloud account is secure.
Right.
If you do banking, you want to make sure your banking is secure. Check into a hotel. It's like everything. There's cybersecurity is a pretty big business right now, and for good reason. There are a lot of malicious people out there who are looking to extort, looking to put ransomware on anything. Unfortunately, it's a very big business
Mhm.
for a lot of nefarious reasons. And I am the vice president of our channel sales division. And
Mhm.
so we sell our solutions or our software through other companies. So it's like an extended arm of our sales team.
Mhm.
That part of the business is what I run in the US. So we've got a really good, strong team of people who are building connections with our partners or our channel companies. And these are the other companies that resell our software, that implement our software in different companies who are building solutions alongside Trend Micro. So that team that works with those partners, that's the team that I manage.
Fun.
Yeah.
So, day to day, in your life at Trend Micro, how are you helping women to succeed in the corporation?
That's a good question. So I want to say I'm helping really anyone succeed.
Okay.
They're the right person. So if you're just sitting back just because you're female, it's not like I'm reaching out to you. I want to help you succeed. It really is who's the right person for that right job. And
Mhm.
let's, help that person along. And what I do is I pick 3 people every year to coach or mentor. And
Mhm.
I spend time with those people to help get them to their next part of the career. But it's not necessarily women.
Yeah.
It's who's that next person who I see has that ability to get to that next level. And I take a personal interest in them, a vested interest. I really do look for that next person who can grow and who's looking to be coached or mentored. And
Mhm.
I said earlier, it gives me a lot of pleasure. And so when that person grows into a bigger role or bigger capability, I really get a lot of fulfillment from that because I
Mhm.
firmly believe we need to help that next generation, move through the ranks. It's not
Yeah.
growing up when I grew up. But there's a lot more pressure, I think, a lot more. It's just a different world. And I think if we can
Yeah.
support people, then, it's also good for the soul. And yeah, I really enjoy it. But getting back to the women's side of things, we do have, employee resource group at Trend Micro that's specific to different parts of, minorities or different, people who are looking to develop in different ways. We also have
Mhm.
a women's ERG. So I'm on the women's ERG. And, as we met in Girls in Tech, supporting girls in tech and supporting young women getting into IT, it is a
Mhm.
personal passion of mine. And there's so many opportunities in IT and things, you may have heard that presentation I gave in Nashville. Do people even consider a cybersecurity career? It's not something that may be presented to you in university, but there's all kinds of opportunities in cyber, and it's fascinating. It's a really interesting place to be. So I would really encourage any young woman who's interested. I'd be happy to help them along or give them resources to get to that next level, because there's a lot going on here. We do need people.
Yeah. How do you think we make it more accessible or inspire more women to get involved?
Oh, good question. We got to go to where they are. So I think Girls in Tech is one of those really incredible, opportunities where young women get together to hear what those opportunities look like. But it's also getting on different podcasts like this one. It's getting to where it is that they read, where they go, and how it is that they're influenced. And that's all different than when I was in school. We just didn't have these types of forums. There was no podcast growing up, but it really is going out to where they are. And so when I'm talking to young women is, well, what do you read? How are you influenced? What are you watching? Like, what's that next outreach? And
Yeah.
it's, sometimes there are a lot more women's groups. So I try speaking to other women's groups. There's a woman in cybersecurity, there's women in the cloud, there's women executives, there's women up and coming. So doing different types of outreach really helps get into other parts of the business and meeting new people who are interested in getting into cyber.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of groundwork.
Yeah, it is. But I will tell you, you did a great job at Girls in Tech.
I appreciate that.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're
Thank
welcome. So we were really blown away, and there were several times things that you said that I would turn to the young woman that was with me and go, write that down. You need to remember that. So yeah, there was a lot of that day, and I was so grateful for all of you that came, because I can say it in the office all day long. Things like raise your hand, ask for the job,
Yes.
those types of things, and it's somebody they're with every day. But to hear someone else say that, and you're like, this is what I'm telling you. So I think that that's so important.
Yeah, well, thanks for what you're doing to help get
Oh,
younger women up through the ranks. It takes a village, right? It's not just
it
one
does.
person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, what career advice or lessons that you've learned would you like to pass on to our listeners?
The biggest thing, it literally just came to me. The
Okay.
biggest thing that I really fretted about when I was younger was, what do people think?
Mhm.
And it's, what do I look like and sound like, and what is everyone thinking? And if I could give advice to my younger self, it would be, who cares? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And I think if you lead with your heart and you're a good person, and then what people think about you and what you're wearing and whatever, it doesn't matter, because
Mhm.
tomorrow it's not going to matter. Or I think about, one other piece of advice I got was, will this matter in 1 year or 5 years? And if it does, okay, yes, I'm going to put some effort, some time, maybe even stress about it.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't matter next year, then why consume yourself with something that is irrelevant? So
Yeah.
that's sort of my litmus test in really big decisions. Will this matter in a year from now? Okay, then I got to focus on it. If not, then I won't.
Mhm.
And in general, I try not to concern myself with what other people think, because you got to get out of their head. I'll stay in my own head.
Yeah.
Really, it's
That's
your own
yeah.
journey.
Yeah. That's so good. So, so good. I'm going to start implementing that in my life too. What's
Well,
going to
good.
happen here?
You
So,
only control what you can control. You
right.
can't control someone else's. Yeah.
Yeah. I do, though, think sometimes that comes with age, that those hard lessons have to be learned early, that you can't control it, everything, and I
Yeah.
think the older you get, the more it is you are able to kind of let go and and be like,
Yeah. Yeah, life is much freer when you're not consumed with what other people are thinking about you.
yeah.
And that makes things a lot easier and frees you up to explore new things,
Hmm.
versus stressing over things that don't matter.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
so very true. So as we wrap up this interview, I would love to know what inspires you.
So professionally, I'll answer in 2 different ways.
Okay.
Professionally, it is knowing that, in the world that I'm in right now, we can make a difference. I
Mhm.
think I would be hard pressed to spend as much time as I do if it wasn't in an industry that helped other people or progressed. Cybersecurity is big and it affects every single person. So the fact that we're developing the solutions to target these attacks makes a difference, and that pleases me. Um, Personally, I do a lot of mountain climbing. I like getting outdoors, hitting the trails, and everything goes away when I'm on the trail. So I really enjoy just being outside, and that
Mhm.
it's nature's pretty good out there. So
Yeah.
if I'm having a stressful day, I've got a trail right in front of my house, and I hit the trail with the dog, and I just get inspired by that. And it seems so simple, but
Mhm.
it does make a difference in my life.
I love that. Well, Louise, thank you so much. And I cannot wait to see what you do next in inspiring that next generation of women to hopefully go into cybersecurity.
Okay. I appreciate the interview, and it was really nice meeting you. And yeah, thanks for everything that you're doing.